the upside to the running quarterback for fantasy football and its impacts. Let's take a look. So I made this graphic earlier looking at quarterbacks that had 300 or more rushing yards from 2017 through 2021, and I showed where they finished for fantasy football along with the fantasy points per game, and highlighted some information here just to kind of stress what stands out to me. So this did cover a full season, and some variables that, come into play here are games played, the season length. Like this past season, there were 17 games. Before, there were 16. Other stats outside of rushing yards that impact fantasy football scoring for quarterbacks as well. And we know that rushing brings upside and a higher ceiling for fantasy for quarterbacks, and sometimes a safe floor, because if they are not hitting the passing statistics that give points, maybe they're hitting the rushing statistics that will give them kind of a cushion. 32.6% of quarterbacks that had 300 or more rushing yards finished as a top 5 quarterback for fantasy. 53.49% finished as a top 12 quarterback for fantasy. So out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks from 2017 through 2021 that hit 300 rushing yards, over 50% of the time they were a top 12 quarterback for fantasy. So we know the rushing impacts just from saying that. I'm a big fan of targeting mobile quarterbacks for this coming season, which poses the question, who could be one of these guys that hits 300 rushing yards and has the potential for a top 12 finish? I looked at this earlier, and I'm not saying that all of these guys will finish top 12, but I am saying that this list of quarterbacks for 2022 has the potential to hit that 300-plus rushing mark. Obviously, some of this list are clear locks. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, sophomore quarterbacks. Mahomes has been around that mark the last couple of seasons. Deshaun Watson, if he plays. Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, I think, are pretty close to locks for having 300 rushing yards. Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, and Dak Prescott are the question marks that might be able to hit that mark as well. So to summarize, there's a good history of quarterbacks that hit 300 rushing marks and did well for fantasy. They bring more upside to the quarterback position and a safer floor at times. So me personally, I'm targeting the mobile guys in 2022.